Iran's response to the U.S. attacks on 3 nuclear facilities raises a lot of questions about where do we go from here. Well, there's a lot of speculation, a lot of conjecture, but we really don't know. The ball is now in President Trump's court, and it appears for the moment that he appears to be going forward with restraint. Now, had there been U.S. casualties in these Iranian attacks on our airbase in Qatar, however you want to pronounce the country, had there been U.S. casualties, the president might have had his hands tied and been forced to respond. But as it is, the Patriot missiles seem to have intercepted most, if not all, of those missiles aimed. This is a violation of Qatari sovereignty. There were unconfirmed reports that Saudi Arabia's attack, that appeared just to have been air raid silence and perhaps not actual attack, but also reports now confirming there was an attack into U.S. base in Iraq as well. Whatever the case is, we know for a fact, we've seen the footage, we've got the confirmation that the U.S. air base in Qatar was attacked. So, no casualties reported this hour. That gives the president a lot of flexibility. Now, why would Iran do this? Well, the Iranian state is under a lot of pressure, not just from Israel, and not just from the destruction of their nuclear sites, but also internally from their own opponents and critics within the government who are largely silent but are ready to strike at any moment to remove these mullahs from office. So in order to restore or ensure confidence in their theocracy, they had no choice but to take some action. And this action appears to have been limited and focused on going after an easy target that the United States could easily defend. I'm not saying that was their intent, but it certainly seems plausible that they went after something that the United States would be able to defend. They announced this on Iranian television hours before they actually did the attack. No one does a secret attack and tells their public about it unless they're trying to achieve a propaganda victory here. So they told the public that they were going to attack. They did the attack, and then they claimed glorious victory. Of course, there was no glorious victory. So it seems reasonable the Iranian government felt backed in a corner and they had to do something to show that they still have control of the country, and that's why they attacked the American base in Qatar. Well, will this be the end of it? I don't know. That remains to be seen. But President Trump has made it very clear that regime change wasn't the goal of this effort initially. Also made it very clear the United States has no intention of putting troops on the ground in Iran, and also made it very clear that this was a very specific strike. Let's be clear, the United States did not target infrastructure. No power lines were taken out, the power grid, power plants weren't attacked. No military targets were struck. No civilian targets were struck. No infrastructure, no economic production capacity was attacked by the United States. Everything that happened was targeted those 3 nuclear sites which were involved deeply in developing and fielding nuclear weapons. And the United States has said that's a line in the sand. Unlike Barack Hussein Obama, who drew lines in the sand only to watch them be blown away by ISIS and by Syrians, Donald Trump drew a line in the sand. It was very clear. He gave the Iranians 60 days to negotiate, to stop their program. They did negotiate in good faith. And he warned them within 2 weeks to take action. And the Iranian response, well, Donald Trump tipped them off, so they moved trucks to these facilities to start removing the material. And that forced Donald Trump's hand. President Trump launched the attack that was approved, a brilliant attack, absolute best operational security and battlefield deception that we've seen in ages. From leaky White Houses that run their mouths about policy and Congress that can't keep their mouths shut about anything. This here was an amazingly well-handled operational security mission. As these aircraft flew from Whiteman Air Force Base from Missouri all the way to Iran, a 15-hour flight, joined up by 4th and 5th generation fighters that came from the Middle East to help them as a fighter escort, as well as intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance aircraft, radar jamming, and all kinds of capabilities. The Iranians didn't even know what hit them. Meanwhile, the world was looking the other way as other aircraft flew from Whiteman to Guam. It's implausible that aircraft would be going to Guam to attack Iran. That doesn't even make sense. I suggest at the time when that news report came out that it may have been either just an effort to get the Chinese to pay attention and realize that we're not ignoring what's happening in the South China Sea, the Straits of Malacca, or with Taiwan. As it turns out, it was also part of a grand deception campaign, which was brilliant. But at this hour, on this date, President Trump at the moment is exercising restraint. The media wants to paint him out to be a warmonger, and the left wants to pretend that he promised no new wars. Well, the facts change, ladies and gentlemen. You know, no new wars. Franklin Roosevelt said we're not entering the World War II. And then the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. And history changed. The United States was not at war with Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda declared war on us and attacked the World Trade Center in 1994. And we still didn't declare war on them until the World Trade Centers came down. And the Pentagon was attacked. In Shanksville. And the truth changed. And the isolationist George Bush was suddenly an interventionist because history dictated a change in policy. Donald Trump had his hand forced. The Iranians were close to a nuclear weapon. He had no option but to take action, which he did. And history will judge him well. What say you, world? Cheers.